Hello and welcome back to Building a Better Britain. I often get asked by public sector bodies, so local authorities, combined authorities, devolved administrations even, how can we attract inward investment? What can we be doing differently? I've had the pleasure of working with hundreds of public sector bodies right across the United Kingdom in the last 10 years or so. And it goes down to three key things. And the first one is, how can an investor or developer get involved in a project? And quite often the answer is through a lengthy, very expensive and very complex procurement process like OJEU. Now, whilst local authorities believe they are being compliant in terms of their governance, the reality is what they are doing is they are saying that they are not open for business. What they're telling the world is that, yeah, you can come and get involved in a process, but ultimately we're not going to make it easy for you. And these are the sorts of comments that we hear back from investors and developers, not just in this country, but across the world. I've worked with some of the largest pension funds on the planet, Sovereign Wealth, for example, as well, who have said to me that the UK can often be a difficult place to do business in. So one of the things that they can do, as in local authorities, is looking at direct partnerships, joint ventures, development agreements. There's many different ways to get private sector partners and funds into a project without having to go through lengthy procurement processes. So it's about being creative, and we can talk you through that. We can give you examples of where we've done that elsewhere in the country, really good examples of that as well. But local authorities need to be more creative. Many local authorities also have assets as well. Assets that could be office blocks that are empty, could be land holdings, it could be mixed-use developments that aren't at full occupation. It could be a number of different types of assets. But what local authorities can ultimately be doing is using those buildings and assets as collateral to attract investment or secure investment against. It could be a way of restructuring a project to ultimately utilise those buildings and assets as equity stakes. There's many different ways we can do that, but what investors like to see is local authorities putting skin in the game, and a way of doing that is by asset-backed investment, and local authorities are sat on generally an abundance of assets which could be utilised for this sort of thing. And the final thing is, some projects might be in a sort of a negative position to start with. There could be huge viability gaps, and local authorities are not flushed with cash, but what they can do is offset future business rates. Okay, so these are business rates that aren't yet being brought in because the building isn't built, but there might be £1 million of the business rates for the next 4 or 5 years that we can leverage now and borrow against, and that's called tax incremental finance. And we've utilised that in projects. I've utilised that personally on projects of £30-40 million. So that plugs a viability gap, or it could be utilised as equity as well. And all you would need is a local authority to be willing, an assessment of what the rates are going to be for that period on that particular asset. And then we can look at how we can borrow against that through either the Public Loan Works Board or pension funds, or even banks as well. So there's three key things: streamlining the procurement process, leveraging existing assets, and looking at innovative measures in innovative ways like tax incremental finance, otherwise known as TIF. Thank you.